Hello, my friend. Welcome back to Seed and Sparrow Homestead and week 2 of the 3 Rivers Pantry Challenge, where I am preparing all of our food, everything we eat, from what I have stored in my home and not going to the grocery store. So this video is going to be a bit different than usual. I'm not showing my face this week. I was still really struggling with the sickness, and I decided to just film it all and do a voiceover later now that I'm feeling just a little bit better. So to start off the week, we're on Sunday here, and we actually got snowed in. We had lots of snow and ice, so we didn't get to go to church, so that meant I had the entire day to start on my work and get ahead for the week. So the first thing I'm working on here is some dough for French bread. Now, as always, I will link any recipes that I use in this video down in the description if you'd like to try them. This French bread is super simple, not a whole lot of work, and it is absolutely delicious. So the first step is just combining your water, sugar, and yeast, allowing that yeast to activate for about 5 minutes. Come back, add some olive oil and some salt, and then our flour. Knead the dough for about 5 minutes, and we're going to let it rise until doubled about 1 hour. While we wait, I'm going to get working on some soup for my husband's lunch for the week. He requested my version of like a Zuppa Toscana, so I am going to fry up some pork sausage. This is just plain pork sausage, so I'm going to season it up. I put in some of my homemade Italian seasoning and some red pepper flakes to make it more of a hot Italian sausage. And we're just going to get that all browned up. After it is browned, I'm going to sprinkle some flour over the top and then mix that around to coat all of the meat and allow it to cook for another minute or so. Next, I'm going to add in slowly some chicken broth, allowing this mixture to thicken up. Now, this recipe is so easy for me because I have things already prepped in my canning pantry that I can just throw it together. So I have 2 quarts of canned potatoes, and I also did a can of cannellini beans. To this, I'm also going to add some freeze-dried kale from the garden. This is probably about 2 cups worth of freeze-dried kale. I let this simmer for about 15 minutes, and then I came back and I added in about a cup of heavy cream. And then I just kept this on low temp, covered it, and allowed all those flavors to mingle, and then this will be Matt's lunch for the week. We're just moving from one thing to the next this day. I love having some time on Sundays to get ahead of the game. I love doing all of my breakfast items and any sort of baking that I would need to get done. That really frees me up during the week. So here I am mixing up some waffle batter. This is my homemade waffle/pancake mix that I took you guys through a little while back. I can link that video down in the description if you'd like. So I'm just adding in all my liquid ingredients, some oil, some eggs and milk, and then I also like to throw in a little bit of vanilla, depending on what type of waffle I'm making. This is a sweet one, obviously not a savory one. I'll keep working through the waffles in between everything else I am doing, but our bread has doubled in size, so I'm going to get that out of my bowl here, and I'm going to divide this into 2 portions. We're going to make 2 loaves. And this is just really simple. We're going to roll it out into about a 9 by 13 inch rectangle, and then we will roll it long side over into a log. And then we just want to pinch all of the seams, fold under the ends, and then we'll place it over on our baking sheet. Just taking my bread lame and I am scoring these loaves, otherwise it's just going to split in funny places, which isn't really a big deal. It might not be the most aesthetically pleasing loaf, but I promise you it'll still taste good, so whether you do this or not, you'll still have a yummy loaf of bread. We're going to get these covered and allow them to rise for about another hour. I'm going to get to work on some more items for breakfast this week. I am making some ham, egg, and cheese cups. Every once in a while, I can find some organic, like sliced deli ham at the local Amish store, and I'll buy a bunch, stick them in the freezer. So I pulled one of those packs out, and I just took 2 slices and placed them in the bottom of my silicone muffin pan here. I'm going to sprinkle in some cheese, and then we'll mix up an egg, milk, and salt mixture. It took about 10 eggs to fill these dozen egg cups and about a half cup of milk, sprinkle of salt, and then I just poured it in here. This went into a 350-degree oven for about 15 minutes or so until the eggs are set. Here they are, all done. I'll pop these out, store them in a container in the fridge, and then bring them out, heat them up as we need them. Our bread has finished rising, so this is going to go into a 375-degree oven, about 25 to 30 minutes. Now it is just about dinner time on Sunday. I needed something simple. I was getting tired. We all agreed we could really eat breakfast for dinner, so I decided to make a Dutch baby, 2 different ones. These are my go-tos, super easy. They use up a lot of eggs, and our feathered ladies are really doing their job right now. We are overrun with eggs. So I'm making a double batch. Per batch, you're going to do 6 eggs, 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of flour, and a splash of vanilla and a pinch of salt. Super easy, but I promise you it's really delicious, and I love dressing it up in a few ways, which you'll see here in a moment. I prefer making Dutch babies in my blender. It's not a whole lot of mess. You get the job done quickly, and I find it just blends it really smooth compared to just using a whisk or a fork. Now I have my cast iron skillets preheating in a 400-degree oven. You could just use like a Pyrex 9x13, whatever you've got. I am going to put a good helping of butter in each pan, about 3 to 4 tablespoons. Now, for the one, I am going to use some canned apple pie filling on the bottom. I love putting fruit or pie fillings on the bottom. Bananas caramelized in brown sugar is also really, really good. So if you have like something canned, you can just put it right in there. Bananas and brown sugar. I would caramelize that first and then add in my egg mixture. Got my egg mixture in there now. Eleanor requested if she could have some chocolate chips in hers. So that's what the kiddos got. They got chocolate chips, and then Matt got the apples in his. And if you've never made a Dutch baby before, they come out beautiful and puffed up and golden brown, but they deflate very, very quickly. So gather around and appreciate it while it lasts. My kids like to refer to these as the walls of Jericho because they came crumbling down. Bread's all done, looks wonderful. Now the most important part, getting as much butter as I possibly can all over the top. So the next morning, I had breakfast ready to go. Matt loves his waffles with butter and some brown sugar sprinkled on top. Lunchtime came around and I got our French bread sliced up, ready to serve with our soup. Now we're on to making some dinner. I needed something easy, still not feeling very good at this point, but I knew everyone had to eat, so I was just looking for quick and simple. So I decided to make some spaghetti. What else would you make? So I got a meat sauce going, just a pound of ground meat, browned that up. And I decided to dress up the sauce a little bit. So I did 1 quart of my home canned tomato sauce. I did a heaping tablespoon of tomato paste. And then I also had canned some Italian roasted peppers. Super yummy, really elevate any sort of sauce. I also had some mushrooms in the basement, a whole bunch of them really that I need to use. So I'm gonna slowly work through them. And then just a quick tip that really helps me out from making sure I'm not being wasteful. Anytime I use tomato paste, I never use the whole can, just a little bit. So I will take the rest and I'll just scoop it out either into some silicone molds or put it on a cookie sheet lined with some parchment and stick it in the freezer. And then you can store them in a little bag and pull them out as you need them. I added some spices, some of my Italian seasoning mix, some sugar. We like our sauce a little bit sweet here, and some garlic and some onion powder. Now I had some leftover canned carrots in the fridge from the previous week, so I thought I would puree them up and mix them in here. It really does make the sauce pretty creamy. I know a lot of people who actually prefer to add in either carrots or maybe like a canned pumpkin to make their sauce a bit creamier and also add some more nutritional value to it. And you guys, this is another reason why I wanted to make some spaghetti. I am a sucker for buying pasta on sale. I have so much of it and we need to work through it. So spaghetti it was. French bread coming in clutch again. I mean, anything Italian, I just think carbs upon carbs. So we're making some garlic cheesy bread here. Spread it with butter, a little bit of garlic salt, some Parmesan cheese, stick it underneath the broiler. But let me tell you, is anyone else victimized by the broiler all the time? Because I am. Even if I set a timer, somehow it gets, forgotten about for another 15 seconds and I end up with some charred edges, but it's okay. They still tasted really good and it could have been way worse. On to the next day, and you guys know the drill. We just have repeats for breakfast and lunch, so we're on to dinner. And I'm gonna make some coconut jasmine rice here in the Instant Pot. It's 1.5 cups of jasmine rice, 1 can of coconut milk. I'm gonna add a 1/2 cup of water and about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I cook this on the rice setting for 5 minutes. To go with our rice, we are going to make some chicken breast. I had 2 chicken breasts here that I sliced in half, and I'm just pounding them so that they're all the same thickness, so they cook nice and evenly. We don't have any portions drying out. I'm going to season these with salt and pepper, keep it really simple, and I'm going to fry these up in my cast iron skillet. Now here we're going to dress it up, use some things from the pantry. I had canned some like Asian inspired plum sauce. I believe that is in the all new ball book of canning and preserving. It's really yummy. It is slightly sweet, but it does have some things like soy sauce in it. So it's not overly sweet. Really, really yummy. I decided to put it on here and make it into a bit of a glaze. And then I also added some to the finished dish as well. Got my pan all cleaned out, and we're going to add in some veggies. With a can of peas going in. I still had some carrots in the fridge. Those went in. And then I put in a can of my mock pineapple. If you're not familiar with mock pineapple, that is a zucchini canned in some pineapple juice with some sugar. I have a video on that. I can link it for you if you are trying to plan some things to preserve this coming garden season. It's a great way to use up some excess zucchini because you all know we have excess zucchini. So I got my rice down, put my chicken down, I added some extra plum sauce, and then added in my veggies all around. We are on to our last recipe of this video. I had a request for pizza from some little ones, and I was looking for a really fast pizza dough. I really didn't want to wait for a whole bunch of rise time. And honestly, I've been on the hunt for a really good pizza dough recipe, and I'd have to say this one was really good. My husband raved over the flavor. So I think this one might be a recipe that sticks around. So it's really easy, just some active dry yeast, some sugar and water, let it activate. Then we're going to add in some olive oil and some salt, and then we're going to slowly add in some flour. You really only have to knead this for a minute or two, and then you want to let it rest for at least 10 minutes. It says if you let it rest longer than that, up to an hour, more flavor will develop. I let it go for 30 minutes, and it turned out great. So once it was ready, I'm just getting it out here onto my work surface. I did divide it into 2 pizza doughs. They were not super large, so next time I might double this recipe. But I just worked it out with my knuckles, and then I put it on a cookie tray, so that's why I've got the wonky kind of rectangular shape. So no circle pizzas here tonight. For this pizza, which is for my husband, I am using some of the roasted red pepper pesto sauce that I had made with you guys quite a few videos ago over the summer. This stuff is so good. I'm going to be making a ton of it. It is not a canning recipe. I just had it in the freezer. So I have that here on the bottom. I'm going to do some mozzarella on top. And then I had some Asiago Italian chicken sausage that I sliced up pretty thin. Gonna lay that all over the pizza. And then we're gonna do some ricotta cheese. I had some of that in the fridge that needed used. So I'm gonna dollop that all over this one. I grabbed a can of pickled banana pepper rings from the pantry. I have so many of these to work through, so I'm going to do my best to put them into different recipes. And I had some Parmesan cheese that I sprinkled on top. For the kiddos' pizza pie, I did some ricotta cheese on the bottom. I just decided to do a white pizza. And then I sprinkled on mozzarella and Parmesan and some garlic powder. Here they are, all done. Man, let me tell you, I was crying and gluten-free. They looked so good, they smelled so good, and I was told they were very good. All right, my friend, thank you so much for hanging out with me in my kitchen. I hope it was enjoyable and maybe gave you some more inspiration to bring to your own kitchen. I'd love to know, have you guys been making anything really interesting out of what you have in your home? Go ahead and let me know down in the comments, as well as if you have any questions on the recipes that were made today. Again, thank you for taking some time to spend with me. I appreciate you all so much. All of those likes and shares and comments are so appreciated, and they bless our family so much. If you aren't already subscribed, please consider it. I would love to have you here. You all have a blessed day, and I will see you next time.